Yo, what's up, everybody? I just had somebody ask me, Jose, why would you move to Alabama? Actually, I've had this question in person, and I've had this question on the internet. It says, why would you move to Alabama out of all places? Let me explain this to you. You need to find out what time it is. It's 2020. You need to look at the clock and find out what time it is, people. I just went to Louisville, Kentucky. There's a guy going around knocking over people's garbage cans, flipping over people's garbage cans to look for scrap metal and just leaving it there. Let me tell you something. If you come on my street in Alabama and you flip over somebody's garbage can and leave it there and they catch you doing it, brother, you're good as gone. It's 2020. You need to have a 2-month supply of food. You need to have a year's supply of ammunition. You need to have a creek in your backyard so you can drink water out of your own backyard. You need to have firewood so you can heat up your own house and cook without needing electricity. It's 2020. You need to find out what time it is, people. Because it's crazy out there right now. You need an acre of land where you can do whatever you want. Space between you and people. You need to find out what time it is. Now, a lot of you people slipping real bad because I've done with $100,000 what some of you with $300,000 and $400,000 are afraid to do. But you need to find out what time it is. It ain't going to a football game time. It ain't walking around downtown so a homeless person can sneeze on you time. It ain't going to a family gathering time. It's stick yourself out in the woods and walk outside with your shotgun time. It's 2020. You need to find out what time it is. There ain't no panic buying here. Back in Florida, I couldn't get nothing during a hurricane. Couldn't get nothing during COVID. During COVID, we almost starved in Florida because we couldn't get nothing. Around here, people don't do panic buying. They don't need to because they got land and they got access to everything they need. They don't need a panic buy around here. Everything they need is on their own land. You understand me? So there's no panic buying out here. Couldn't get anything in Florida. Them rich people buy everything in sight. They buy it. I can't do that. I buy something because I gotta have it right then and there because I'm a poor person. You need to find out what time it is. Asking me why I moved to Alabama. You need to look at that clock right now and find out what time it is. It's 2020. You don't need to be going to a party. You need to be going in them sticks far away from everybody and making sure you got ammunition, making sure you got food. It's 2020. You need to find out what time it is. Why would I move to Alabama? My question is, why are you still in the city? Find out what time it is for real, people. People here don't understand why I moved to Alabama. Why would you move to this backwards place? See, that's the first thing they don't understand. They don't understand how good we got it here in Alabama. They don't understand that because they ain't been to the city and seen what life is really about. You don't need to be stuck in a 2-hour traffic jam commuting back to your suburbs. You understand what I mean? You got to be self-employed. Because when COVID locked down, all the businesses were closed down. I went to Louisville, Kentucky. There were like 10 Cuban restaurants. Do you know how many Cuban restaurants there's left in Louisville, Kentucky? Probably none, because the ones that are open probably ain't going to make it anymore if they lock the stain down again. I went to a city that has 10 Cuban restaurants. And I couldn't have the things I wanted. I wanted a steak sandwich. I couldn't get it. I wanted a batido. I couldn't get it. I wanted a palomilla Cuban steak, and I couldn't get it. You know why? Because the restaurants are closed, and the ones that are open after 5. You need to find out what time it is. Be in the city for what? I just went to Louisville, Kentucky to have Cuban food. Because I like my Cuban food. I went to have my Cuban food. A city that has, on Google Maps, 10 Cuban restaurants. 5 of them are already closed. The ones that are open, they're serving you warmed up, a little bit of cafeteria stuff that's warmed up. You can't even make an order. It ain't going to a restaurant time. It ain't going to a football game time. You need to wake up, both people in the country and in the city. You need to wake up and find out what time it is. It ain't going to a football game time. It's being at home, safe, having food, in a warm place to sleep time. Find out what time it is. Asking me why I moved to Alabama. My question is, why are you still in the city? And if you live in Alabama, you need to find out how good you got it here. Because you don't know how good you got it here. You don't know that in the city, you got junkies running around while you're at work trying to break in your house all day long. You don't know when you wake up in the morning, some crackhead flipped over your garbage can, look with scrap metal on your garbage can, and left it there. Now you got to pick it up. You don't know that. Because you out here in the woods and you don't know that. You need to find out what time it is, people. You need to have a creek out back with your own water. You need to have a deer in your backyard you can shoot when the stores are closed. You need to have some squirrels on a tree as well. Not that I want to do it, but if it came down to that, I would. You understand me? I ain't trying to eat no squirrels and deer unless I have to, but if I have to, they're right there in my backyard. And ammunition is important. I don't like it, but you have to have it. I seen a video on the internet, I think it was in the Carolinas somewhere. This dude was in his pickup truck with his family. A mob of people attacked his vehicle, throwing rocks and sticks because they were trying to block the highway. This man single-handedly, with his piece, made a crowd of 40 people disperse. He got out and he put a real quick end to the situation. Because here they are throwing rocks and sticks at vehicles. This one dude had his protection and he took care of them 40 people running away. You gotta have your protection. You gotta have a 2-month supply of food. And you gotta be out in the sticks where you can breathe some fresh air, chicken running around, you got fresh meat on your property, you got water on your own property. You don't need to be in the city right now. You need to wake up and find out what time it is. It's 2020, people. You gotta have your ammunition. You gotta have a 2-month supply of food. You gotta have some trees you can burn in your yard, some water you can drink on your property, some animals you can eat if you have to. Y'all need to find out what time it is, for real. It's 2020. Instead of asking me why I'm in Alabama, you need to ask yourself why you still in the city. Because it's 2020. Find out. That's my message to y'all. Find out what time it is. It's 2020. Y'all need to take care of your families. It ain't going to no football game. It ain't going to no party. It's being out in the woods and being content to have food, shelter, and substance, everything you need for your family. That's what time it is right now. It's 2020. Figure that out, man. You're asking me why I moved to Alabama. I'm asking you why you still in the city. I'm asking you if you live in Alabama, why you haven't figured out what's going on outside of Alabama. There's some crazy stuff going on out there. I'm glad to be in Alabama, where people respect law enforcement. See, in Louisville, Kentucky, I see graffiti everywhere about how they feel about the police. I'm driving around Alabama, and you see a sign in the back of the truck that says support police. This is law and order out here. There's a song on the internet I want you guys to look at. I think the band's called Upchurch, and it's called Dirty South. Around here, you ain't gonna hurt nobody in the South. You're gonna mind your own business. You're gonna respect people. You ain't gonna victimize people in the South, in the real South, down here in the woods. Because there's something called a little bit of Southern justice out here. Believe you're gonna get what you got coming. There's a scrapyard here where I live, and they got all their scrap metal outside. Back in Florida, where I used to live, they got a 12-foot concrete wall around Garden Street in Fort Myers. Look it up on the internet. Look up the scrapyard in Garden Street in Fort Myers. They got a 12-foot concrete wall around that place. And outlying of Fort Myers as well, not a mile away, they got a 12-foot wall around their scrapyard because people come steal the scrap metal. Louisville, Kentucky, forget about stealing the scrap metal out of the scrapyard. They're stealing the scrap metal out of your backyard while you're sleeping. But let me tell you something about Alabama. On Highway 31 in Prattville, it's a scrapyard, and they got all their garbage outside right by the road where you can see it. And believe me, you don't make the mistake of touching their stuff. The same thing goes for leaving a trailer outside of your property, or a lawnmower, or any of your property here in Alabama. You leave it right there where it's at. Believe me, you ain't going to steal nothing out here because we got something called Southern justice. We got something called a little bit of Southern hospitality for your butt. You ain't going to come around here stealing nothing. Believe me, you don't want to make that mistake around here. Go watch that video called Dirty South from a group called Upchurch. Give you a little bit of insight on what it is out here. Because when I first came to Alabama, I was like, people leave their cars running at the gas pump, nobody steals it. People leave their tools in the truck bed, nobody steals it. You steal something out here, you're going to find out a little bit of something about the South, man. You need to find out what time it is. I don't do politics. I don't care what's going on in the political world, but I'm a Bass Pro Shop right now to get my ammunition. And believe me, I'm packed up for a long time. That's what time it is. You need to find out what time it is, people. It's 2020. You need to have food. You need to be away from the city, away from people, and just stay at home. You don't need a 9-to-5 job where they can lock the doors. I work for me. You call my cell phone, and I'm going to make that money no matter what. You ain't going to tell me I ain't going to make money. I got my truck. I got my trailer. I got my tools, and I got a body to work with. And believe me, I'm going to make my bread. You ain't going to lock my business down. You understand me? To lock me down, you gotta confine me in person. You understand? You got to be self-employed right now. You can't be working for somebody else telling you what you got to do, when you got to open and close. 10 Cuban restaurants in Louisville, Kentucky. How many are left, people? Half of them already closed, and the ones that are open probably ain't got much life left to them. You need to find out what time it is, people. It's 2020. You got to be self-reliant. You got to be willing to take care of yourself, and you got to find out what time it is. Talking about you want to go to a game or to a party, or you want to walk downtown into a bar. Find out what time it is. Even without the COVID, even if the COVID was a scam, even if that wasn't real, it's still 2020. You need to find out what time it is for real. It ain't about the COVID. It's the fact it's 2020. Find out what time it is and see what type of adjustments you need to make in your life to make your life simple, to make yourself self-reliant, so you don't depend on this crazy world out there, because it really is a crazy world. Checking out, and I love you guys, and I hope you take my advice seriously.